Hello, everyone, again. Welcome to the Coalition's Budget Heroes series, Maximum Impact while Minimizing Expenses. My name is Lyon Cruz. I'm the president of the Coalition for College Cost Savings. We just call it the Coalition. Today, we are pleased to present First American Education Finance. They will be talking about strategies to finance digital infrastructure. Today, we have Matthew Rankin with us, relationship manager with First American. Matt works with higher education institutions to develop custom financing solutions for campus projects. Studying at the Rochester Institute of Technology provided Matt with state-of-the-art facilities and technologies, which played a vital role in shaping his educational experience. Today, he's very passionate about serving higher education by acting as an extension to leadership teams, empowering them with the tools and resources to fulfill their campus mission and goals. Matt brings extensive experience in solar energy and renewable development, while previously he served on the AASHE Advisory Council for 2 years. He is also actively involved with various associations, including AICUO, AICUP, ECUBO, CUCUBO, HES, and of course the Coalition. So with that introduction, I'm going to turn it over to Matt, who will advise you on the strategies that you may use to finance your digital infrastructure on your campus. Matt, take it away.
Thank you, Lyon. Thank you for organizing this. Thank you for the kind words as introduction as well. We've been a proud partner of the Coalition for many years and appreciate all of the work that you and your team do. And thank you to each of you for carving out some time this afternoon to join us for this webinar. I know when Lyon reached out to us at First American, asked us if we wanted to host a webinar this spring, I knew right away that digital infrastructure would be a timely topic for many of you as you prepare budget requests and finalize summer projects this summer. And I know that we have a mix of business officers and IT leaders in attendance today. So for the business officers, the goal today is to provide you with some treasury management tools that you can use to better invest in digital infrastructure on your campus. And for the IT leaders, the goal today is to provide you with some examples of how those tools can help you execute on your digital infrastructure transformation. Not just today or this summer, but really for the next 3 years, 5 years, and beyond. I do hope this is an interactive session. Please feel free to unmute yourself, ask questions. It's a small group today. So type questions into the chat box and I'll get those. And with that said, let's get started. So for just some brief introductions for those of you who may not be familiar with me or First American, I work exclusively with CFOs and CIOs at higher ed institutions like John Carroll University, Dickinson College, Trine University to finance capital projects on campus. We're located up in Rochester, New York. We have about 300 colleagues here in the office, of which about 25 of us serve exclusively on our higher education team, working with institutions like yours. I've been here for about 8 years now, so I've spent quite a lot of time talking with your peers about equipment financing solutions and some of the challenges that you face. And I certainly understand the seasonality that's unique to the higher education community, and ultimately use that experience and tenure to kind of work with my clients to develop creative financing solutions that align with their budgetary needs. We're ultimately part of RBC, which is the Royal Bank of Canada, one of the largest we at First American are one of the largest lessors in the United States. And I only bring this up because what does this mean to you? Why is this important to you? Two things: strength and stability. We have a large balance sheet and the stability of one of the largest and most diversified banks in the world. And what that does is it provides us with the ability to offer competitive financing rates while delivering a unique value to our higher education clients through our industry and product specialization, working with higher education exclusively. So I'll start our journey today by talking about digital infrastructure by first going through a few of the trends that we've observed in higher education technology strategy over the last few years, and then discuss kind of how that's shaped your strategic priorities and investments that higher ed is making in themselves. So I think that we can agree that as disruptive as 2020 and 2021 was to higher education, This period was also a time when many institutions realized that they can make changes and most likely should make changes, particularly to their information technology stack of our solutions on campus. And what we've seen over the last 4 years is really a greater focus on investments in IT equipment. That was originally stimulated in part by the CARES Act and the HERF funding. And about 4 years ago, technology really kind of created that stopgap for colleges and universities to be able to adapt to that remote and hybrid learning environment. Those government funds assisted that shift. But really since then, IT leaders are now focused on maintaining those systems that they put in place over the last 3 to 4 years, while really still giving care and attention to all of the other IT needs that are on campus. And it's interesting, surveys often come back in the higher education space. And one of the questions is, who's responsible for driving digital transformation at your institution? And it always comes back that about half say it's institutional leadership and the other half say it's IT leadership. So there seems to be a little bit of finger pointing. Institutional leadership, which is presidents, CFOs, provosts, academic leaders, are always asking IT to do more with less, and less money that is. And IT then is always asking, institutional leadership to provide them with more resources, both in terms of dollars and personnel, to be able to accomplish those objectives. So that's an interesting dilemma, and perhaps one that many of you have experienced. So let's put some numbers to what this actually looks like. Another recent survey from Campus Technology indicated that the biggest obstacle to digital transformation is budget restrictions, of which I'm sure this is not a surprise to anyone. But when you look at the next 4 items in the top 5, culture, digital literacy, organizational silos, lack of clarity of vision, the underlying similarity between these is kind of, in my opinion, communication, right? Which is what digital transformation means to your particular campus. How it plays into the broader strategic plan and vision, and then how every stakeholder is involved with it in one way or another. So kind of given the stagnation of IT budgets in recent years, and yet the larger role that IT has on student experience, instruction, and really campus operations with all of the back-end IT infrastructure, it's really essential that colleges continue to find funding to sustain or expand their support for their digital transformation moving forward. Shifting over just to how some of these trends have evolved into priorities, I'm going to go through 4 priorities that we've observed within higher education. And the first one is flexible work environments. 62% of CIOs are saying that they're having trouble retaining IT staff. 53% say that private companies offer more flexible work policies as a major contributor to this struggle. The other big one being compensation. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. I know many companies and even a lot of higher ed institutions, have shifted to some type of or some version of hybrid model, maybe 3 or 4 days in, 1 or 2 days remote, which seems to be working well for many colleges. Of course, this is going to differ. A lot of the student-facing roles on your jobs on your campus may not necessarily have that flexibility, but there's also a lot of jobs on campus that may have more flexibility. Especially in the IT space, and especially when those IT folks or you're competing with the private sector for those IT folks. So as IT staff bring changed expectations to a workplace, investment really in the right technology to strengthen your ability to provide flexible work opportunities that can attract and retain talented staff that ultimately carries forward your institutional mission is going to be a new priority for a lot of schools moving forward. But with this flexibility comes cybersecurity and risk management. Cybersecurity risk, students, faculty, staff, they're now accessing IT systems from remote locations, oftentimes even on personal devices. So really additional measures are needed to ensure the security of your institutional data. Ransomware attacks and cybersecurity attacks are up pretty substantially, according to EdTech, actually as much as 70% back in 2023. And a lot of the old devices on campus, such as laptops, classroom AV equipment, computer labs, things like that are easy points of access for your end users, which are students, faculty, staff primarily, to access your network are a major point of vulnerability. And really adopting key privacy and cybersecurity practices, will better position the institution within this landscape. And then furthermore, on the cybersecurity side, adoption of cybersecurity practices and risk management practices is often actually required in order to be in compliance with a lot of the newer cybersecurity insurance policies. So there's a lot of room for improvement. This is not going away anytime soon. And a lot of schools are looking at what are the critical investments that we need to make in our technology stack to be able to minimize the risk of cybersecurity attacks on campus. The third one of the four here is enterprise systems. Everyone here knows that your enterprise system, and by that I'm referring to your ERP, Workday, Genzabar, Ellucian, Adology, whatever it is that you use, is the backbone of your institution. It contains all of your proprietary data about your consumers, which are your students, as well as all of the day-to-day operations on the finance and the HR side of the house. Many of you are likely involved with your ERP in one way or another, whether it's as an administrator or even just a user. And you guys can all, I'm sure, appreciate how big of a system that is. And what that means is that when it comes time to upgrade it or transition to a totally new system, it can be very expensive and consume large amounts of time. And I'll get more into some examples of this a little bit later. But long-term planning is going to be key for schools, in particular as schools begin to consolidate multiple software systems into one central ERP backbone on campus, so that all of that data in the data-rich world that we live in now can continue to talk to each other and drive leadership's decisions moving forward. And lastly, the fourth one is the student experience. While they are indeed students, many in higher education, especially the business office, tend to think of them as consumers buying an educational product. Now, many colleges are continuing to leverage data and now even AI to make investments in technologies where digital infrastructure, learning management, and connectivity all meet. So for example, bringing academic and real-life experiences to improve career readiness, or using data to improve recruitment efforts and retention, or helping students earn desired credits more efficiently and affordably. These are all technology investments that have substantial impact on the student experience, and these are all areas that we can help you strategically fund in the years ahead. So that brings us here, right? 4 examples of new needs that have evolved into trends and now require continued investment on campus. A coordinated digital infrastructure strategy can certainly help accelerate your investment in each of these areas. And the opportunity cost is very real in what is becoming a hyper-competitive recruitment landscape, as a lot of the enrollment folks start looking at the changes in demographics in the next couple of years in particular. And one of the areas that we can help is we can help to sustain a lot of the investments that were made over the last few years, or even make new investments in your institutional's digital transformation goals. So more specifically, what are the 3 areas that we, First American, can help you with the most? The first is managing operations and risk with an efficient ERP backbone. If and when you do decide to transition to a new platform, or you're going to upgrade your existing platform, we can help you with financing. The next one is network infrastructure, building a network infrastructure that powers institutional performance and improves the student experience and success. We have various different equipment leasing solutions to provide solutions to support those types of projects. And lastly, ensuring that endpoints, which endpoints are generally desktop and laptop computers that are around campus, are deployed to support safe and secure work for all of your faculty, students, and staff. We have a full service laptop leasing program that can help you with this as well. And I'll provide examples of each of these 3 here in just a moment. So as we dive into the financing strategies themselves, it's important to just be mindful of the context. The two kind of key institutional objectives that we're trying to accomplish here with investments that you're making in IT on campus. The first one, which is on the left here, by addressing aging digital infrastructure proactively, You're getting devices on disciplined refresh cycles to reduce that large and often unplanned upfront investment that are needed when you're not managing them appropriately and you're letting them get too old on campus. And as part of this, we offer a variety of deployment and recovery services so that your staff can stay focused on day-to-day operations and other strategic priorities. So for example, some of those services are on the deployment side. We provide where we can receive those devices, we can provide warehousing for those devices throughout the year, and then make sure that they get delivered to you when is best for you. We can provide asset tagging and reporting services, image creation and or application creations, and then lastly, delivery to campus. So we can do all of that upfront work for you on your behalf, such that when that laptop or desktop computer arrives on your campus, it's ready to deploy. And then on the asset recovery side, we provide on-site equipment recovery with, and by recovery, I mean data wiping, cleansing, all of that, audits. And then next up is white glove pack and ship services. So as long as all of those devices are in one central location, generally it's a classroom or a lecture hall, depending on the number of devices, we'll actually have our team come in there as part of the financing solution, pack and ship all of those devices on your behalf so that your team doesn't have to spend the days or weeks that it would take to do all of that. And then lastly, as part of that, I think I just mentioned this is just the equipment audit and data erasure and reporting can all be done both on-site or off-site, depending on what your risk management team's needs are. The second objective, which is now on the right here, is transitioning some of the technology expenses from a CapEx model to an OpEx model in order to better support the alignment of useful life with expenses. So let's dive into 4 different examples. So in the case of Lemoyne College here in upstate New York, they were looking at transitioning to a new ERP system with a large price tag and about an 18-month implementation period. This created a cash flow challenge to them, in which is the same for many institutions, that requires them to financially maintain their legacy system throughout implementation, as well as incurring significant expense for the new ERP system. So what we are able to do through our kind of creative financing solutions and our deep understanding of the project in higher education is we align the financing term with their useful life of the licensing, tends to be generally around 10 years. And then what we do is we actually work with you specifically to look at what budget do you have allocated for this project, which includes the existing licenses that you're paying for to support the existing system. And then we create a step payment structure during those first generally few years of implementation to alleviate that budgetary pressure of having to support 2 ERP systems concurrently. Lastly, all of this is done within a simple and straightforward capital lease structure. And despite it being 100% soft costs, there's no financial encumbrances, no fees, no blanket liens. So, you, and in the case of Lemoyne College here, will have a ton of flexibility moving forward, even though you had just financed a relatively large project on campus. The next one is switching gears over to kind of the hardware side of the house. Regis University, which is out in Denver, Colorado, they found themselves in a situation where they had to replace their aging wireless access points on campus. And leasing was an effective way, or at least they ultimately decided that leasing was the most effective way for them to spread payments over multiple budget periods, allowing them to preserve cash for other operating expenses on campus. So what we did here was we aligned the financing term with 2 things. First, their warranty and support packages. And what that does is it mitigates their risk by keeping all of that equipment both under warranty and supported by the manufacturer. And then second, we worked with them to align the lease term with their expected useful life, which in this case was, I believe, 6 to 7 years. But we also still gave them some end of lease flexibility and options. And it's really important to note here that while we are a lender of capital, we provide financing to help schools not only get new equipment on campus, but we have an asset management team at First American that works, again, exclusively with my higher education clients to help them get that equipment off campus as well. We resell hundreds of millions of dollars of off-lease equipment each year, and really see that as a key value that we can provide to you and your team in making sure that that equipment is being removed from your campus efficiently, safely, and effectively. So, and all of that can get built right into the lease through some of those services that I mentioned to you earlier, and those are, again, all baked right into the pricing in the lease. So as you can see, again, there's a ton of different ways that we can structure the lease to best fit the needs of any particular project on campus. And these types of projects are very, very common, particularly these days, as more and more schools realize that their Wi-Fi system on campus is an absolutely critical component of the student experience, and particularly then retention on campus. And the last one here is, our observation on a lot of campuses is that device management, particularly with faculty and staff laptops, resides in departmental budgets. So one department, may have a certain type of laptop from a different department, so on and so forth. And those with bigger budgets tend to get better devices more frequently. And one of the things that we've observed and encourage many of our higher education clients is to really strive for device standardization by incentivizing those departments to enroll in a device management program with a firm like First American. This is a specialty of ours. We have clients all across the country that utilize this program and all of those services that I mentioned to you earlier. As a useful life of computing devices continues to get a bit longer than it used to be. I know many of us are probably keeping laptops for 5 to 7 years now. Standardization provides a number of key benefits. Really, the first is that having a standardized program on campus is going to alleviate some of the stress on your IT team, which is already pretty thin at most schools, from having to service different devices on campus, and really eliminating that obsolescence by turning those devices over every 5 to 7 years. We have quite a few clients, like I said, enrolled in this program. I could spend a whole hour going through specific use cases of it, how these programs get rolled out, what different strategies schools use to roll these programs out. Some do it annually during the winter or the summer months. Some do it quarterly because that reduces the number of devices per batch. So we have a lot of different flexibility that we can kind of build into these leasing programs, in addition to the services that we provide, to really make these programs a unique fit for your institution. One other example too there is that a lot of times these leases will start sometime throughout the year, but what's most important to a lot of schools is, well, when will this lease end? So one of the things we often do, especially for my higher education clients, is make sure that no matter when the lease starts, it will end on the same day. If it's a 48-month lease, it might be a 49 or a 50-month lease. So that way, all of your leases end on the same day. A common date selection is August 31st, because that gives a lot of schools the summer months to get those devices back from the faculty and staff and or students by the end of the summer, and then deploy those new assets for the new school year. So again, we have a lot of different flexibility, and I could spend a whole host of time going through all of those different examples about how this program could work for your campus. So in summary, kind of 3 things. Digital infrastructure investments will continue to be critical to the success of higher institutions in the years to come. And having the right strategies, tools, and resources and partners in First American to ensure you maintain those investments is really going to be essential. First American can help your school sustain the investments that were made in digital infrastructure over the last few years, as well as into the future. And really the primary goal here is, again, aligning the cost of that investment or the cost of those assets with the useful life for those critical devices on campus that you see as an important part of the student experience, mitigating cybersecurity risk, so on and so forth. So that's just a summary of our conversation here today. That's about all that I have. I'm happy to open it up to questions and answers. I think I just got a notification that there were a few chats. So let me know if there are any questions or anything that I could answer.
Thank you so much, Matt. I just wanted to remind folks, if you would like to submit a question, just click on the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. You can type questions in there. Also, if you'd like to ask a question verbally, please let us know. Just raise your hand and we can unmute your line. All right, I'm not seeing any
no
questions
questions.
on my side.
No, I see no questions either. That means you must have covered the topic very well, Matt. Congratulations. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. Thank you, Matt, for covering a topic that's near and dear to all our hearts and very important to all our campuses. And I would ask that if any of you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to Matt. You have his contact information on the screen there. And with that, I will say, reach out to Matt and go out and be a budget hero. Thank you. Bye-bye.